Hey barbecue family, the Backyard SmokeMaster barbecue channel on YouTube started in earnest in 2018, and it started with the delivery of my Lone Star Grillz 20 by 42 offset smoker. Now since that time, I have amassed a pretty decent number of different grills and smokers, some that I have kept, a few that I have let go of. But I thought today it would be pretty cool if I took you through some of the grills and smokers that are still in my backyard. So we're going to get into it. I'll tell you how I use these grills and smokers and what I think of them today after potentially years of ownership. So this is going to be a fun one. Let's get into it. All right, so we're going to start with the Weber Smoky Mountain. Now this one right here, this is actually my second Weber Smoky Mountain. The first one I bought at the very beginning of my barbecue journey. I read that Weber Smoky Mountains were the hot thing if you really wanted to get into smoking meat. So I bought the 18-inch version, and to put it simply, it was a complete disaster for me. I got really frustrated trying to learn how to manage temperatures, and I got sucked into what happens to a lot of newbies when they begin barbecuing. I got sucked into the trap of chasing temperatures. If the recipe said it's supposed to be at 250, I obsessed about trying to get my Weber Smoky Mountain to be right at 250. Of course, I could never do that well. Temperatures were fluctuating pretty wildly. I got frustrated. I sold my Weber Smoky Mountain. Many years later, after it all started to click in my head about temperature control, my wife bought me this 22-inch model for Christmas a couple of years ago, and because I had been talking about how much I regretted letting this go. So I've done a few modifications to it. I see here I replaced the built-in thermometer with the chef's temp version that allows you to see the temperature at a great distance and also monitor it with your phone. I also replaced the door, so this isn't the stock door that came with it. And then the other main thing I did was I also added a hinge that's on the back of the lid here that makes it easier to lift and close the lid. So with the hinge, that makes it much simpler than having to lift up the lid and then figure out where to put it. So love the 22-inch, mostly because of the cooking capacity that it gives you over the 18. If you want to get into barbecue and smoking, this is the classic barbecue with charcoal smoker, the Weber Smoky Mountain. Next, I'm going to talk about my Mac 1-Star General Pellet Grill. So this one has probably been the grill that I've had the longest that has stayed like in my rotation. I can't remember exactly what year I bought the 1-Star, but this was actually my second pellet grill. The first was the Traeger something Junior. I can't remember the exact name of it. That I picked up at a hardware store going out of business sale, and temperatures were wildly all over the place. I think Traeger has completely revamped the way they do pellet grills since then. So after that experience, I knew I wanted to upgrade to what I consider to be like a high quality pellet grill. This one by Mac has definitely served its purpose. On a weeknight when I don't have much time or just want, something easy to cook, this is when the pellet grill shines. Also comes in great handy. Maybe you've got your main protein going on a different cooker and you've got some sides that you want to do. Pellet grills come in handy with that, mainly because, again, the controller does all the work for you. You know, makes it really easy. Makes it really easy. You punch in. I'm not going to turn it on further, but makes it really easy. Slide to turn it on. I upgraded. This is the new Pellet Boss controller, so this is something they've upgraded since I initially bought mine. Just punch in the number that you want your grill to cook at, and it does all the work for you. And again, one of the things I love about Mac Grills as a company, they stand behind their products. Since I first bought mine, I've been able to do several upgrades, and they make their upgrades be backwards compatible with everything. They upgraded the kind of like the guts on the inside, whereas when I first bought it, it was mostly used for low and slow cooking, but now I'm able to do temperatures around 400 degrees on my Mac. Like I said, they upgraded the controller, so they stand behind their products. I've had this for a long time. I want to say 2018, 2019, no issues. And I imagine I will be using this for a long time to come. Next up, we have the iconic, the classic, the Weber Kettle. Most folks are familiar with these, or at least they've seen them. This was also one of the first grills that I bought. Can't remember if I bought it before the Smoky Mountain or after, but this was also one that I got early on. This is actually my second Weber Kettle. And what can I say? I mean, I always tell folks, if you're just getting started in barbecue, people ask me, what grill or smoker should I buy? Weber Kettle is always at the top of my list. The cost of entry is not too cost prohibitive. You can get a Weber Kettle for around 150 bucks. Price might go up to closer to 200, 225 if you get one of the versions that come with a few extra things. But again, cost of entry is really simple. It's a charcoal-based cooker. I always think people who want to learn how to barbecue, do yourself a favor, learn how to cook on a charcoal grill, learn to cook with charcoal. And the Weber Kettle is an excellent way to get your feet wet. So this is one, again, I've got a couple of these, and another thing that I'll say about Weber Kettles in particular, they're probably the single most supported barbecue grill on the planet. If there's an accessory that you think you might want, more likely than not, someone has made an accessory for it to support it. I've got a slow and sear, I've got a vortex. I also have one of the Spider Grill's Venom fan controllers. Anything you can think of, it's available for the Weber Kettle. Can't go wrong, you're only limited by your imagination. After I got my feet wet using the Weber Kettle and the Weber Smoky Mountain, I wanted to upgrade or move on to the next level, and Kamado style cookers began to catch my attention. So I landed on the Kamado Joe, primarily because I really appreciate the innovation. I felt like they were adding more things, more options, more accessories to their cookers, so that grabbed my attention. Ceramic style cookers are very versatile. Cookers like the Big Green Egg, the Kamado Joe, they're capable of basically grilling, smoking, anything you throw at it. They hold up very well, hold temperatures once you lock them in. Of course, the downside, of course, is if you overshoot your desired temperature, it can take a little while to get them back down to where you want it to be. But other than that, really no other downsides, other than possibly being just the sheer large size makes them difficult to move around. So typically, once your ceramic style cooker lands where it's going to be in your backyard, you're not going to want to move it too frequently out of fear of it tipping over and cracking. So we definitely don't want to do that. But I've had my Kamado Joe for well over 5 years, probably 7, maybe 6, 7 years. And it still cooks and performs the same way it does when I first got it home. So one of the cookers that I didn't mention is a pit barrel cooker. And actually I no longer have the original pit barrel cooker that I bought, but it was the cooker that got me on the road further into drum style cookers. And actually pit barrel is another one that I recommend for folks that are just wanting to get into barbecue. If you want to learn how to smoke, you just follow the instructions, away you go. But I say all of that to say, after having the pit barrel cooker, I wanted to have a similar type of experience, but something that I could take with me maybe to a park or to just a remote type cookout. And that got me on the road into looking into larger drum smokers, ones that potentially have wheels. And I landed on Hunsaker Drum Smokers. And actually, I like these so much that I actually have 2. This is the second one that I bought. Found this one on Craigslist, drove a couple of hours away to pick it up. It was a great deal. But what I love about the Hunsaker is these are super easy to use. It can't really get much easier than this. Once your temperature is dialed in, there really isn't much else that you need to do in terms of making adjustments up here at the exhaust. Little slight micro adjustments are all you need. Also, there's an intake down at the bottom, you know, where you can move it around to, and it's easily labeled. Down at the very bottom, there's like a start position, a run position, and then and then there's like a finish position when you're all done cooking. Another cool thing about smoking on a drum smoker or a barrel cooker is you have fun. You can hang your meat. So in addition to having grill grates that you can lay your meat on, you can literally hang the meat inside of the cooker and cook that way. If you want to level up, have a leveled up drum smoker experience, having something like a Hunsaker is a great way to go. So next I'm going to talk about the Lone Star Grillz 20x42 offset smoker. This is the one that started my channel. This is the one that when I wanted to really take my barbecue to the next level and knew I needed to get an offset smoker, aka a stick burner. So I did some research and some guys were recommending this brand to me, and the more I looked into it, the more convinced I was. Initially, I ordered one of their 24-inch pipe style offset smokers, and while I was waiting on it to be fabricated, they announced the 20-inch series, which was kind of like a more affordable, a little bit smaller offset smoker. And I thought, oh, this would be perfect for me, kind of take away some of the expense. And then also based on the size, I thought it would be right for my family, and it would be a great way for me to get started in barbecue. So I changed my order to the 20x42, and again, this really became my favorite cooker to use, especially when I have time. And that's what I always tell folks. If I have a full day free and I don't have to take care of anything else, there's nothing I love more than doing a brisket on my LSG 20x42. Just spending the day out here tending to the fire, feeding it the sticks. I know a lot of people, it's not for them, but for me, I just enjoy the peace and tranquility that comes with it being in my backyard. So this one will always have a special place in my heart. It's the 20x42 Lone Star Grillz offset smoker. Next up is the Weber Summit Kamado, and this one is probably the cooker that has generated the most interest on my channel. So Initially, they announced the Weber, or they came out with the Weber Summit Charcoal, and it really piqued my interest. It's kind of a combination kettle cooker as well as a Kamado style cooker. I think Weber was trying to answer the call, to get into that space. But the reason I didn't go for the Summit Charcoal is I just thought it was priced too high. It was just cost prohibitive to me. And then maybe a year or so later, they announced the Weber Summit Kamado. They did make a few changes to it. I think the main one that people didn't like was that the deflector plate that the Summit Kamado comes with is not hinged, whereas the one on the Summit Charcoal is hinged. For me, that didn't strike me as being a really big deal. Instead, what I was really attracted to, obviously the larger cooking space. This is essentially a 24-inch cooker, so it's an upgrade in space when compared to the Kettle. And then also the cooking efficiency. This thing, once you get the temperature dialed in, it holds temperature like a champ. It doesn't burn through an excessive amount of fuel. So those were the things that were really attractive to me. And then also the versatility. Similar to ceramic Kamado style cookers, Summit Kamado can cook basically anything that you throw at it. And it has been a champ in terms of overall versatility. So the Summit Kamado is one that I'm very happy to have in my arsenal. One thing I will say, over the course of years, I've done a number of videos where I've pitted the Summit Kamado up against some of my other cookers, like my Hunsaker, even the Weber Kettle. And what I have found in terms of the smoke profile, the other cookers tend to produce a more smoke heavy profile than the Summit Kamado does. And I think that may be the one knock against it. It's that it's a great, efficient, versatile cooker, but if you're really looking for something that is considered to be a smoker, you might do better looking at other alternatives, even the far less expensive Weber Kettle, if smoky food is what you're going after. But again, for versatility, can't beat the Summit Kamado. So last year I began to transition into commercial cooking, and I wanted to have some alternatives that would provide me more cooking capacity combined with ease of use. So I found on Facebook Marketplace what was promoted as a lightly used Mac 2-star General, and it was in my area, not too far away, so I decided to jump on the deal. Now this is somewhat of a cautionary tale because I've had this cooker here for, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months. Been able to do a couple of cooks on it, low and slow, but ultimately where I'm at now is that the auger is not spinning. It's not spinning the pellets through into the fire pot. So having some issues, got some calls in to Mac to see if I can get this corrected and fixed. I've already pumped in, more money than I would like to admit in upgrading some parts and trying to get this thing going. So I guess my word of caution is, I think buying a used grill or smoker is a great thing to do, but when you buy one like a pellet grill that is reliant on electrical moving parts, I think my lesson learned is to use even more caution than you would otherwise. Buying like a used Hunsaker Drum Smoker that cooks with charcoal, no moving parts, the risk is low. Buying something like this that's reliant on electricity and moving components that can break after time, definitely more of a risk. So I included the Mac 2 Star in this roundup just to share that bit of advice. For my commercial cooking, I also wanted to add a larger capacity offset smoker, and one that would allow me to use the tuning plates to give me even temperatures across the entire surface of the cooker. Smokeslinger's Liberty 94 fit the bill, checks all the boxes for me. This one, because I already have experience cooking on an offset smoker, virtually no learning curve. Matter of fact, I have found cooking on the Liberty 94 to be even easier than it is to cook on the LSG, mostly because the firebox is considerably larger, and this allows me to use, I can put like 4 regular size, like full size wood splits inside of this firebox. I set them up like log cabin style, no problem. And that has really been like revolutionary for me, because one thing about cooking on the LSG, firebox is a little small. Usually only use maybe 1 split at the most, maybe 2, but it can get a little bit cramped in there. So I do appreciate having what I consider to be more of a traditional size offset smoker. Liberty 94, the 94 means that it's a 94-gallon offset smoker, and this has been a big addition to my commercial cooking. So continuing on the commercial journey, when I ordered the Liberty 94 from Smokeslinger, I also ordered the full-size Smokeslinger itself. I wasn't quite sure exactly how it would fit into my operation, but as I learned more about the Smokeslinger and the consistent description that I heard about it being the Swiss Army knife of cookers, coupled with its large size, I knew that I needed to go ahead and order one, get it here, and see what it's all about. So while I rely on my Liberty 94 primarily for low and slow cooking, think brisket, pork butt, the Smokeslinger, on the other hand, has really been almost like a godsend with regard to its ability to do direct heat ribs. So this has been my new find and something that I think will really help me in my business. The ability to do outstanding tasting St. Louis style ribs, baby back ribs, direct heat, which allows me to basically get them done in 100 minutes. So we did a video not too long ago where we did direct heat ribs on the Smokeslinger. The ribs turned out fantastic, and I absolutely fell in love with the process. The other day I did party wings. I found that I was able to do like 80 party wings up on the top shelf, or the top grate, I should say. So I love that cooking capacity. I like to put drip pans underneath the top rack to help things stay a little bit clean and to keep grease from dripping all the way down. I know a lot of folks have different opinions about that, but that's where I'm at right now. But ultimately, I'll just say, again, I love the versatility of the Smokeslinger, love the size, and did I mention it's really easy to cook with? Once you dial in temperatures, you really don't have to do anything else. And there are lots of different ways that you can configure and set up for your cooks as well. So that's what I really appreciate about the Smokeslinger, and I'm glad that it is now part of my cooking collection as well. All right, and last but not least, the newest addition to my barbecue collection is the giant Huntsman by Spider Grills. I'm actually cooking on it right now as we speak. This one, not really part of my plan for commercial cooking. This one I got just because it's just cool. The original Huntsman caught my eye when it was announced back in 2024. I always felt like It needed to be a little bit larger, and they answered the call with the 26-inch giant version. That was all I needed to make the leap of faith. Really happy so far with the Venom fan controller. It has proven to be rock solid. Once you set the temperature, it does all the work of moderating the temperature inside of the cooking chamber, very similar to the experience that you get on a pellet grill. But the advantage here is that you get that same ease of use experience, except now you're cooking with charcoal and wood chunks, which to me is an elevated experience compared to the pellet life. So really happy, glad that this is my newest addition to the collection. So there it is. That's a rundown of most of my grills and smokers. There are a few that I did not cover, but I think you got a good feel that I have a pretty nice variety of grills and smokers in my backyard. If there's a question that you have, or if you want to see me do a video about anyone in particular, please drop them in the comments, let me know. Also, take the time to join my free online barbecue community, the Backyard SmokeMaster Society. Go to backyardsmokemaster.com/society. It'll take you 20 seconds to sign up, completely free. We talk about all things grills, smokers, recipes, techniques. It's a real chill, friendly community. Hope to see you there. Get out there, enjoy your grills and smokers, and I will see you in the next one.